Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the DucksNPucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have a jam-packed show for you this week. Lots to talk about. Plenty of games that we will get to and cover in the first segment of the show. Like we said last time, we're kind of back on our regular format. So we'll cover those games real quick, kind of group them together since they're playing some of the same teams back to back. And then our middle segment, we have tons to talk about the Ducks. There's some trade rumors out there. A lot of news about Zegras. Everybody wants him up to play in Anaheim, so we'll cover some of the goals games down there as well. And then we have our good, bad, and ugly segment again as we talk about the Ducks and what's going right and, what's going wrong with the team. So we'll break all that down. And, of course, our fan questions and league news as well. So when we left off last time, the Ducks were doing okay at some things and not at others. But then... since the last show, they went on this bad losing streak, Eddie. They lost to Arizona, and they lost the two games very badly to St. Louis, who, of course, is now in the Ducks division. We'll kind of break these down a little bit, but what's your thoughts on these games? I really didn't like what I saw in these three games, Eddie. Just the lack of scoring, as we talked about, has been a problem. The lack of consistency and grit as well. I just thought, man, these last three games are pretty troubling watching.
Oh yeah, and in Arizona, that second period was just terrible. It was just so hard to watch because the Ducks weren't even there and just left their goalie out to dry again. Like, how many times we're gonna have to repeat this and do the same thing? I don't understand why the Ducks just can't play a full game and they just don't always show up. I know Getzloff mentioned that it's impossible to come out and play a whole 60-minute game, but maybe that's why they're in the bottom of the standings and bottom in all these stats. Because they're not just having that fire or motivation to come out there and play and give it their all for those full 60 minutes. It's just terrible when you just go out there, skate for the first period, and just pretty much you should just stay in the locker room in the second period and let your goalie handle all of it. Because that's what pretty much you're doing. Just if you're not out in the ice, your goalie has more opportunity to see the puck. But damn, it's getting hard to watch when the Ducks just don't come out and play those full periods. It gets to the point where we should just watch just 2 periods of hockey. Then the other period we can just screw around and do something else. I don't know, play a word puzzle or something. Who knows? Maybe more entertaining than watching the Ducks doing what they've been doing.
Well, you know what's kind of interesting? You talk about the periods and how the Ducks aren't consistent, right? And they're usually doing okay in 2, and then not the third period. Not necessarily the third period, but one of the 3 periods, right? The old Ducks, we remember, right? They would do terrible in the second period. That was like, oh my God, man! They'd come out in the first period, do fine. Go in the second period, just get destroyed, and then have to rally in the third. This team this year, it's like you don't know what you're going to get. This game actually wasn't that bad. The Arizona one in the beginning, the Ducks scored first. Silverberg got on the board. You know, that line's starting to get some more goals finally and get some offense. And then, you know, they give up one in the second period. And then, you know, they give up all those goals in the third. They actually did get a power play goal for once this year. You know, Heinen scored, and Heinen's been getting some tallies too as well. So, the power play finally getting on the board. They also got one power play goal in those couple games against St. Louis. It's kind of the only silver lining really in these 3 games. But it's frustrating because you just don't know what period this team is not going to show up. So you look at the Arizona game, and, you know, it was basically the third period is when they got kind of taken over and blown out of the water. Well, you go to the first game against St. Louis, they give up 3 goals in just over 2 minutes to start the game. And you already knew, like, okay, this game's over. I mean, once that started, I was like, all right, this is going to be a long night. I mean, I didn't even, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I'm still on there tweeting it out and putting out what's going on, following it. But you kind of had to know this is going to be a long evening. And they got just destroyed. In that one, I mean, good news was Max Jones got on the board. You know, he got a goal, which now we know that he's out with an injury, undisclosed injury, and he hasn't played in the last couple recent games. But the Ducks, then they still got destroyed in that game, 6-1. And then, they played the other game against St. Louis and same thing. But it's like, it's just different periods. You don't know. Sometimes it's the first period, sometimes it's the third. I don't know. This team's very frustrating because you look at these games and it's not only that they play poorly in one period, but they get killed on the scoreboard, Eddie. And I think that's the problem. You can have a bad period. You can have a bad couple of minutes in a game. But once this team gets down 2 or 3 goals, they're screwed because they're not even averaging 2 goals a game.
Oh, yeah. And you can't really fault the Ducks too much, I guess, against St. Louis besides their poor play, because St. Louis is a great team. They have a lot of firepower. They have a lot of superstars. Their goaltending is pretty good. It's really hard to fault them on that, but still, it's just to come out and let pretty much just roll over and show your belly. It's just that's not the way a professional hockey team is supposed to conduct themselves. They're supposed to, I don't care if you're down those 3 or 4 goals. You just keep digging, and who knows, maybe you can catch up or at least have some pride in yourselves and in your team, and you can hold your head up high after the game, saying like, hey, you know what? At least we gave it our all. Obviously, we played against a way better team, but some of these games you can't do that. You can't hold your head up high. You can't go and drink your wine or that beer and act like you really deserve that, because you definitely don't. You deserve water, if that. But it's getting really frustrating. But you know what? I'm glad this is happening, because a lot of I guess false hope was happening. The Ducks were winning games and people thought, oh, they're gonna make the playoffs. But I think it's a good thing to bring fans back to reality, to let them know that, hey, this win now mentality that Murray keeps talking about is not happening, and this team's not a playoff team. And our fans deserve and should, expect way better than what we're seeing the production and what management is doing with this team. I guess that's one silver lining to take from Ducks coming back to reality. I do want to back up real quick, Mike, back to the Arizona game with John Gibson. I really want to know what Connor Garland said to him to set him off. Like, it just... Because Gibson's usually, if you piss him off, he's going to go after you, but he's not one to go and try to start things. So I don't know what Garland said to him to set him off, but that was just the funniest thing. And that was, I guess, the highlight of that game for me.
Yeah, and we've seen that before with Gibson, right? We've seen things happen, and he gets frustrated, or someone takes a cheap run at him or something. This one was a little bit different. You're right, because he skated by him. You see him say something, and then Gibson just grabs him and throws him down like a rag doll. I was cracking up. But you know what? I would take a goalie like that any day. You know what? If someone's going to come up and talk trash like that, it shows that he's a competitor. And if he's going to get 2 minutes for roughing on that guy because he came up and said something stupid, obviously. He said something to tick him off. We still don't know. I'm all for that. And I like that about Gibson. I like that fact. I mean, he's not getting... Jonathan Quick crazy and breaking his stick on a post because of some stupid call or something, but he's defending himself when things like that happen or players try to take advantage of him, which, I mean, he should. So I agree with you. That's one of our bright spots. Obviously, we talked about that last week's show, and this week again, he's under the good category, of course, when we get to that. So he's still been doing well. The only bad thing that really happened was this last St. Louis game. Unfortunately, that was one, but that was also bad defense too in the beginning. Those goals in the beginning were just ridiculous, giving up a breakaway right away like that, and some things like that. So I don't put that whole St. Louis game on him, though. Yeah, he could have done a little better. But overall, besides that game and the very first game against Vegas, Gibson's been pretty solid for most of the season. And like you said, I agree. His temperament, I'm all for it. So that's been one thing that's helped this team. But it's just been a struggle. Like we said, they don't know which period that they can't figure out a rhythm, I think, and it's kind of hurting them. And, you talk about the win now mentality and things. I do like one thing that we saw in the second game is that, Henrique did not do well in that first game against St. Louis, so then he was benched in the second game. And, I liked it. And I know some people were like, oh, well, he hasn't been playing that bad. Well, he was -3 in that game, the first one, and he didn't really look himself. And, maybe he just needed a night off. So I like that Dallas Eakins is holding people accountable. And if you think that, it wasn't justified, I think it was. I don't think that he gave it his all the night before. I don't think he was the only one. Well, there's a lot of things that went wrong in that first game against St. Louis. But he hasn't been doing a whole lot this season as expected. We talked about that line. They're finally starting to get some stuff put together. But I do like the fact that Eakins is trying to hold people accountable because, like you said, Eddie, we're probably not going to be a serious contender this year unless some crazy trades are made, which we've got some rumors on those we'll talk about. Actually, will come up here in a second. But I just like the fact that the coach is doing that, and I don't think that he's the problem.
No, as a fan of Henrique, I didn't like him being benched, but then, like you said, it was the right thing to do. It sends a message. He played poorly that first game, and the coach got tired of it. Like, hey, I don't care what your status is on this team, rookie, veteran, it doesn't matter if you have a crap game like that and you haven't been playing to your potential, or especially if you're a veteran player, it's not like him. He has a lot more potential. Those goals he scored last season, then you're going to be benched. That sends a huge message to everybody. It sends a message to the young guys too, like, hey, this veteran that's been in the league for a while, that had a good season, he's probably one of the Ducks' top players. He's on that first line. They benched him. It's like it doesn't fly like that. I'm glad it happened. It sucks because I like Henrique, but that's just the fan in me saying that. But it was the right thing to do, and hopefully it sparks fire in him and the rest of the team, knowing like, hey, you have to play better, you have to be better, regardless if you have this mindset already that, hey, no one expects you to win, and you're not expected to win because of the roster you have. It doesn't matter. You're still a professional athlete, and professional comes first, and you have to, project that on the ice each time you play. You're getting paid to play the greatest game in the world. That should be enough motivation as it is to go out there and put on a show, and not really put on a show, but to play hard and be tough to play against. At least make those teams earn those 2 points, not just give it to them.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and it's a good way to motivate someone and have them bounce back, especially like you said, it's not just a rookie player, it's one of the senior guys as well. And of course, that sparked, trade rumors and whatnot and talk, which there'll be a couple more that we'll talk about, but we'll talk about this one now because it's at this point in time of when it happened, when he was benched, and then you saw the rumors flying. People are like, oh, what's going on? Is he going to be traded the next day or whatnot? That was a big thing that people were talking about. And one of my sources did hit me up and told me this was kind of interesting. He said that the New Jersey Devils were interested in bringing him back. And I thought that was interesting at first, but, looking at it, it made some sense for them to try to do that. The Ducks would clear $5.8 million in salary cap, and they have Henrique signed till the 23-24 season. And New Jersey does have $6.7 available in cap space right now. So it's something that they could work out and do. And I heard that it was involving a couple different players that would go for Henrique. So it was something that was talked about. I don't think it's going to happen, at least not right now. But I would keep an eye on it and see. Also, because the Devils do have that cap space, that they may try to make some other kind of move, even if they don't, try to get Henrique back. That might not happen. But I would definitely keep an eye on him, especially come trade deadline, Eddie.
Yeah, he's one of those players that could get a good return. If it's New Jersey or if it's another team, New Jersey would probably make sense. And if they wanted him back, that wouldn't make sense. When they traded him, they needed a hole filled in their blue line. So that was that trade. His cap is going to be a little bit of an issue for them, I believe, too. Yeah, they do have the cap space, but if they want to bring in someone else, it just that 5.8 seems a little bit too much right now for Henrique. I thought it was a little too much when they first signed him. So that might be a problem. But, I mean, he was loved over there in New Jersey. Their fans loved him. It'd be a good move, I guess, for them. I guess marketing. But I just can't see. I don't know. I can't see them going that route. Who knows? Anything can happen. But I think come trade deadline, I think he's one of the names you can actually look forward to. As far as being traded, he'll bring, like I said, he'll fetch a hefty return if the Ducks, can get out of this win now mentality and start preparing for the future. This is something they can look forward to trading, because he'll get tons of suitors and they can make a pretty good deal for the Ducks. It's gonna suck seeing him if he leaves, because he's one of my favorite players. But you know what? It's business, and whatever puts the Ducks on top and gets them to start winning again and being contenders again, I'm all for it, as long as they don't touch Delorier.
And it's funny, you talk about Delorier, right? So the Ducks then get out of this losing streak, I think largely because of Delorier. They beat the LA Kings, right? They only played them in one game, kind of a weird setup. Most of the games are back-to-back, but the Ducks ended that losing streak, thankfully. They get right off to a fight in the puck drop. Delorier and McDermott, you see them chipping and chirping each other right in the beginning. They go at it. And this was one of the Ducks' best performances. They had 43 shots on goal, the highest total this season. to the Kings 21. They pretty much dominated this game all over the place except for the scoreboard. They got out to a 2-1 lead and kind of held it there for a long, long time, basically in the second period on until the third, when Delorier then ended up getting an empty net goal to salt it away. But I liked what I saw in this game. Ducks dominating the face-offs, the puck possession, playing physical. They had opportunities. They just didn't score as much as I wanted to in this game, Eddie. But overall, hey, you're on a losing streak 3 games. You're playing your crosstown rival. What a great way to break it and get out of that.
Oh yeah, I was so happy to see them beat LA. That's cool. It was just a highlight. I'm coming into this game just please beat the Kings. I don't care if you beat them in a shootout. I don't care if it's a stupid goal that goes in. I don't care. Just do anything possible to beat the Kings. And Delorier set the tone right away, and he got rewarded with the nice little goal. Beats the goalie, even though the goalie wasn't in the net. Still, he beat him mentally, I guess, because I'm pretty sure the goalie was still pissed off that goal went in his net, even though he wasn't in there. But you have to give credit to Cal Peterson for the Kings. That kid's been playing amazing. And he's the reason why this score wasn't 5-1, 6-1, because it could have been an absolute blowout. And you was in quick breaking his stick and throwing a tantrum like he usually does. But I think it was a really, really good game. And the Kings, yeah, they're like a bottom team too, but they've been playing pretty decent this season. So it wasn't just the Ducks played a really horrible team and just kind of walked all over them. They still had to earn that win, but it was a really good performance by the Ducks, and I liked it. It was cool. They finally outshot a team by pretty much almost double. It was just really good to see the fighting, the tempo of the game, that rivalry is still there. The only thing that was lacking is just the fans being in the building. It's just the fans. That's the only thing. But it was a good game. I'm glad they beat LA, and hopefully they can continue beating LA through the whole season, because it'd be a really cool thing to do is have a sweep against LA.
It's funny you mentioned about the no fans. So for some of you that may not know, but when the Ducks are playing at home, I'll text Phil Hewitt back and forth about some of the games and what's going on, and he was talking about that. I said, so how is it with no fans? Is it just extremely weird or what? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Because he's sitting there, calling out penalties, yelling Anaheim Ducks goal, and there's nobody around. I mean, there's no one booing, there's no one cheering. They got, the fake noise and all that stuff, but it's awkward. So it's just a little side note. I just thought of that because you brought it up. But back to this game, one thing that came up was that Delorier got a Gordie Howe hat trick. And I noticed some people asked questions about that. They didn't know what it was, or some people wanted it explained. So as you know, a regular hat trick, a player scores 3 goals in a game. Just anywhere in the game, they get at least 3 goals. That's a regular hat trick. A natural hat trick, which we actually saw Delorier do that before, you have to score 3 times in a row, which is very, very difficult. So uninterrupted, you score your team 3 goals. It just doesn't happen. But sometimes it can, where you get 3 scores consecutively. Well, the Gordie Howe one, which it's not like a real hat trick stat, but the way it works is when a player gets a fight, a goal, and an assist. And that's what Delorier did in this game against LA. So that's kind of the breakdown of that. And a kind of a fun fact, Eddie, is that this Gordie Howe hat trick in his illustrious career, he had only done it 2 times. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that until I saw your notes. I'm like, what the heck? I thought it was a little more than that, but I guess, well, he's a hell of a player, so I guess he earned that title. But it's always fun to see. I guess to me, it's a stat that matters. It's something like, oh, he got a Gordie Howe hat trick. That's awesome, especially for Delorier. He's playing pretty good this season. I hope he continues that up. I do want to see him fight more, because that's my style. I like that hardcore style. But you know what? If he's getting points on the board, then good for him. He deserves it. I wouldn't mind him fighting again, especially puck drop. That was just unexpected, and it was awesome. It set the tone for the freeway face-off.
Oh, absolutely. I love the way that game started. And go ahead, Eddie.
I wish the fans were there, because I know it's LA, but I know both sides went just nuts, and that would have set the tone for the fans too. And that game would have been loud and obnoxious with the LA fans, but it would have been really fun to see live. And I really hope we can get to these games again. I doubt it this season, but I guess we have to make our way to other states to go watch some hockey. Definitely watch the Ducks in Arizona. They'll be playing there this month.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I did go to Nevada, and I was out there actually when the Ducks played the first couple games against Vegas, and they weren't allowing fans. So I was kind of bummed because I had just happened to, wasn't even planned, but just happened to be out there. And the way that their rules were set up, you can't go. So, yeah, if you're going to take a road trip, it looks like Arizona's your best bet right now unless something changes. And speaking of rivalries, too, the Ducks then also played the Sharks in back-to-back games. And this is kind of wild. Both these games went to shootouts. The first one was wild and entertaining. The Sharks came out scoring first, and then the Ducks dropped 3 on them in the second period, one of their best periods. Of course, then followed by one of their worst periods. The third period, they gave up 3 straight goals back to San Jose, and then they ended up going into overtime in a shootout. Couldn't get any scores in the shootout and lost. We know how well the Ducks do in overtime and shootouts. They lost 3 games in bonus hockey so far this year. They go to the second game, a little bit more tame, a 1-1 game, closer checking, a tighter battle. They did give up a goal in the first 11 seconds, and I was like, oh, please, let's not have this be like the Vegas or St. Louis contests again, and it wasn't. They actually played really well in this game for long stretches of time, and they won this one in a shootout, so they finally got a win with bonus hockey. So I like these games. I thought the Ducks did play better in these two. Like we said, compared to St. Louis and Arizona in those games, just that third period in the first meeting wasn't very well done. But overall, I think they played great, especially that overtime in the second game. I thought they were going to win. They owned the puck, which that was one of their best 3-on-3 overtimes that I had seen, where they didn't score, but they really handled the puck in that second game pretty well, Eddie.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate they lost that first game. It would have been really cool, like if the Ducks have doing their if they just do horrible and really, really, really bad, like Red Wings bad this season, but they just beat the crap out of San Jose and the Kings and sweep those in their little series. That would have been cool. It sucks that they lost that lead because it seemed like they had that fiery momentum from LA and they were bringing it to San Jose, and then you just like when you were watching the game, like okay, they're gonna. Boom, they score. Okay, now it's it's looking like it's gonna take off. And San Jose has their goaltending issues. They haven't been too great on goaltending, minus that second game when they played well. But it sucks that they let San Jose kind of walk back into the game, and that's what I'm talking about again. Like not coming out prepared or playing those full games. If they would have played that full game, there's no way the San Jose Sharks would have came back and won. But I guess they still get a point for people that care about that. But they losing the shootout was just bad. But the second game was better, and they actually got the win. I don't know what was up with throwing Shattenkirk on there in the shootout thing. I don't know if they just want to piss off Ducks fans even more because he's been in the doghouse for a lot of Ducks fans. I was almost afraid to post his birthday things. I didn't want Ducks fans to just absolutely go nuts and crazy.
Yeah, I had people hitting me up too about that. They're like, okay, you have Terry and Comtois and they score, and then they're like, what the hell is Shattenkirk doing in there? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's in our doghouse too. He'll be in our under the bad part of our good, bad, and ugly segment that's coming up. So I'll save that for there. But yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, it worked out and the Ducks won, thankfully. But yeah, okay. I don't know why he would throw him on a shootout. I agree with all you out there that were messaging me going, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I don't know. One good thing, though, in this game also is Lundstrom got his first NHL goal. And Ryan Miller keeps eking up in the stats here. He got his 388th victory. He's one away from tying Dominik Hasek for 14th place in all-time wins. And then he also got his 60th shootout win. He only needs one more to tie the all-time leader of Henrique Lundqvist. So some good stuff there, Eddie.
Oh, yeah, and I'm pretty sure Lundstrom, he planned that first goal the way it went. And he had in his mind, that's how his first goal is going to get scored. Congratulations to him. Go to the front of the net, good things will happen. That's exactly what he did. Yeah, it's a really lucky bounce for him, but you know what? That still counts as a goal, and he still did his job. If he wasn't there, he wouldn't have scored that goal, and Ducks probably would have lost this game. Who knows? So good for him. Congratulations. Hopefully he gets that first one and he's hungry for more, and they'll start kind of rolling in and coming in. Contract year too, so he wants to get paid those extra dollars. Start putting that puck in the back of the net, and you're surely to get a few more $1,000 for that.
Yeah, I heard that they were planning that. Like, they purposely at practice, he was like standing there, and he's like, if I jump this way, I can deflect it in. No, just kidding. But yeah. I mean, it was great to see him get on there. Like you said, hopefully he'll start getting some more. So that's a little like recap of just the games real quick, what's going on, and obviously some of the news and stats in there we get you caught up on. The big bulk of the show now is our Ducks news. Plenty to talk about this team in addition to these games. Obviously, we already mentioned a little bit about some trade rumors with Henrique. We've got some other trade rumors coming up here. The latest thing, I guess, is Ryan Getzloff. He missed these last 2 games against the Sharks. He had a lower body injury. Didn't seem to be a big deal, Eddie, but then somebody posted him out shopping, buying some balloons or something on the day of the first 2 games between San Jose, and that became a big deal. So then, of course, that started a whole thing, right? People were like, is he really hurt? What's going on? Is he going to be traded? And all that kind of nuts, which, remember, we had trade rumors about him prior to the season. We had heard a bunch of stuff, and we had said it didn't look like that was going to happen. We said maybe at the trade deadline if anything's going to happen, something like that. Again, if they want to clear cap space, right, like we were talking about with Henrique. And that's what one person on Instagram asked us, Jesse Holiday 3. What does Getzloff's future look like with the team? And I think we addressed this before, but it sounds like, because him being the captain and whatnot, that if the Ducks want to bring him back and do a Solani thing, and maybe 1 or 2 year deal here and there, they could do that. If he really wants to go to a contending team and try and win another cup, and he asks for that, they may try to work that out with him. But you remember the last time that we had heard from him publicly talk about all this, he said he wanted to stay in Anaheim and bring another cup to Anaheim. So my take would be that he would try to stay with the team and would not want to be traded. Things can change, but that's kind of the stance that I see where he's at right now, Eddie.
Yeah, I can't see him playing for any other team but Anaheim. But stranger things have happened. You see Joe Thornton over there in Toronto now. So who knows? I just, from everything I've read and everything I've heard, it seems like he wants to stay in Anaheim. He prides himself to being on one team, and a lot of players they take that to heart, that loyalty. I think he always, he's I think he's one of the best captains in the league, and he does. No, yeah, his production isn't there like he was 5-6 years ago, but he still produces. He still opens up and creates opportunities for other players. So I think, him staying with the Ducks, it just makes the most sense. He already has a cup. He has his family. He just bought a new home. There's no reason for him to leave unless he wants to go and chase that cup, and that's going to be ultimately on him. I don't think the Ducks are going to ask him to waive his no movement clause or anything like that for him to be gone. So it's going to be his decision, but I can't see him going. I think he's going to stay a Duck as long as he wants to play. He's going to stay a Duck.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like I said, the only thing that would change is if for some reason he really wanted to go to a team and try and win a cup again, at one last-minute shot or something like that, which we've seen other players do that. But for now, I think he stays. So we'll kind of break down more of the Ducks stuff this whole season. Again, we've kind of put in this new segment under the Ducks news, our big section here in the middle of the show, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, it's not all bad. I don't want to be all gloom and doom. I know Eddie and I are kind of pessimistic, but we're also realistic, right? The good stuff that's been going on with this team, if you look at it, has really been the defense for this team. And I know you're sitting there going, well, great defense. Well, we've got to look at all of it, right? Their goals against per game is 2.54, which is 7th best in the league. The penalty kill's been outstanding, just under 86%, 5th best in the league. And Gibson, his record's not the best, but he's still putting up decent numbers, 2.48 goals against and 918 save percentage. And, of course, Miller's been doing pretty well, too, holding down that second spot, as we all know he has been doing, for the Ducks recently. So I think that's the good thing, Eddie, is I looking at the team, they can build off this part, and we'll address the bad and the ugly in a minute. But, you have this core. You've got your goalies in net. You have a really solid penalty kill. You have a decent defense. If they can just build off this and then obviously work on scoring, which we'll get to in a minute, or if you want to address it now, it's fine. But that's obviously the bad part of this team, or actually the ugly part, I should say. So there's a good base there. That's the good thing with this team. It's trying to improve upon this, which is also a podcast poll question we did. We brought that back. We're trying to do those every show as much as we can and talk about how to fix this team. But I like the core and what we have there. It's just really trying to go to the next step, Eddie, because with that base, it's good, but there is a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, you have to play the full damn game. I don't care who you are or what sport you play. If you come out and don't play the full entire thing, you're not going to have success. And it's not fair to kind of throw that responsibility on your goaltenders. It's like, hey, well, we don't feel like coming out for the second, the first, or the third, or whatever. Or we're just going to half-ass it. Our goalie can take care of it. That's not fair. It gets annoying. It gets overrated. It's just gonna get frustrating to the point where it's just like, screw this. I'm not gonna go make that extra. Let's say, I don't know. I can't see a goalie keeping his motivation up like that to keep pucks out of the net when your team's not playing in front of you. It's just like, what's the point? It's just gonna get frustrating. Or he's gonna get injured, and then what happens? You're gonna put all that responsibility on Miller, and you're gonna do the same thing to Miller. You're gonna put all that responsibility on him, and he might just break down, and then what? You're gonna force to bring up Stolars, and it's just the revolving thing. It's not working out. Like, you have to play better in front of your goalie. You have a hell of a goalie. You have a two great goalies, a great backup, and an elite superstar starter in Gibson. You're not supporting him enough. If you could just play the full game, you'll have more success. Those goals will come in. Less goals will go in. I guess Gibson's doing all he can, but he can't stopping the third or fourth chances. Like, that's impossible for goalies to do that. So the good is the goaltending and the penalty kill. The penalty kill, I don't really get afraid when the Ducks take a penalty. It's not like I'm not sitting here biting my nails like, oh, they're gonna get scored on, because they've been so good at keeping that puck out of the net. And for some reason, they seem to play a little bit better when they're a man down too. So that's a really positive thing for the Ducks.
Yeah, part of the bad part goes into what you're talking about with that goalie situation too, Eddie. Leaning on Gibson, leaning on Miller too much, as you talked about. The Ducks averaged 27 shots on net. Okay, that's 28th in the league. It's not enough, right? Then they give up almost 30 shots against, which is in the middle of the league at 17% or 17th place. So, the shot thing is not helping out. Also, puck possession, I like to throw this in here too, because I know some of you out there are, like these stats and whatnot. And in terms of that, the Ducks are not doing themselves any favor, and also not helping out the goalies. With these numbers that you want to be above 50%. That basically means that your team is controlling the puck more in the opponent's zone. Well, the Ducks are just short of that. They're right around 48% with the Corsi and Fenwick for stats. And just a reminder, Corsi is all the shot attempts that are taken into account for both teams. Fenwick's the same thing, but it's looking at the unblocked shots. So if there's a block shot, they don't necessarily count that. It's just kind of the way that they both do it. But they're basically looking at the shot attempts and calculating it against the teams that they're playing and figuring out, okay, how much time is being spent in their own zone or the other zone. And right now, the Ducks are spending more time in their zone. That's what that basically means, breaking it down. And it's not bad. I mean, they're not far from 50%, but still, you want to be above 50. You want to be in the other zone. You want to control the puck. You want to be doing more of that, which was surprising. They did really well in that second overtime against San Jose. I thought they were going to score. They had some great chances in there, which was surprising because usually 3-on-3 they're not as good. So those are some issues that have been going on. Another issue, I have to call him out, is Shattenkirk. He's really upset me lately. You go over and you get this player, this whole win now mentality, and Murray's like, yeah, we're going to get this guy, and that's the big move the Ducks do in the offseason, other than they brought back Derek Grant, obviously, but he's been a penalty machine. He's taken 12 total penalty minutes, the most on the team. He's tied with Lindholm, but it's not even that. It's the penalties are lazy. Some of them that he's taking, they're just unnecessary penalties. And he's not doing a whole lot to contribute as much. He's got a couple assists, but thankfully the penalty kill is great. But also, if you want this team to do better and get better puck possession and more shots on net, you got to stop leaning on the penalty kill and the goalie so much. You don't take these lazy penalties. And he's just on my crap list for now. And I've seen other people get upset with him too. I've seen a lot of you guys out there not happy, and I agree. It hasn't cost the Ducks too much, but I mean, dude, the guy came from a Stanley Cup team, and he's supposed to be our top 4 guy that's going to lock it down. And he hasn't been terrible, but Eddie, I think we expected a little bit more.
Oh yeah, definitely. I really haven't recalled a game where I mentioned like, hey man, Shattenkirk made that hell of a play, or he was the game changer of this game. Yeah, I didn't expect him to come and be a savior and pretty much turn the Ducks around and make them an instant contender, bringing in one defender. But I expected them to have be better on the stats, be better on the power play, and him to produce a little bit more and kind of help the team produce more. It just seems like he's playing with that traditional Stanley Cup hangover mentality, and it's not working out. Yeah, I get it. He's coming on a team that's not in the same position as Tampa is. So maybe the whole motivation level for him might not be there. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. But if that's the case, then he shouldn't have signed with the Ducks just for the weather or something. But he needs to play better. He's a top 4 defenseman. He has a lot to offer. He has a lot of offensive possibilities that he can help the team. And he needs to get up to that and start making plays. Start making plays happen. Start putting points in. Start setting up teammates to get those points. Help out with the power play. Get them on the board. Get the power play percentage up. He needs to play better. He needs to stop taking these lazy penalties and definitely, like I said, play better, play better, play better. I can repeat that 20 different times, but we expect more out of him, and he should expect that from himself too.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm hoping that will change, especially with Manson being out. They got to lean on Shattenkirk a little bit more, so they got to figure that part of it out. The other part that's been a problem, and I know we beat a dead horse, has been the scoring. That's been the ugly part for the Ducks. They're averaging 1.85 goals per game, which of course is last place. And the power play, they've only scored twice, which is also the worst in the league. So they've got to work on the scoring. Another problem that we've talked about. And we'll provide some solutions to this too. We're just kind of giving the overview of some of these things. But we put it back on the fans too about all this stuff, because after that losing streak, everybody was really upset. So we threw out the poll question, well, how do you improve the Ducks, right? Like, we want to hear from you guys. We all know that they need to do better on scoring, but that's a no-brainer. But how do you improve this team? What do you need to do? Outside of that, we know that the Ducks tried to do a trade with Dubois earlier, and we'll talk about that. So we put that on there. We talked about getting a new coach, a new GM, or just doing all the above and blowing it up. I also took other suggestions as well. And looking at most of this, Eddie, the biggest thing everybody said was new GM. A third of you said that, 35%, and then 37% said everything: coach, trade, GM. And then trade was 20%, and then new coach was only 8%. So, I don't think the coach is the issue for sure. You and I have talked about Murray. This isn't a new thing. You and I have not been happy with the way some of the things have gone with him. But to me, I don't see the new GM being what will happen. I'm not saying I disagree. I just don't see it happening. The Ducks right now, technically a 500 team, right? They're 5-5-3. They're on the border. They've been hanging around 4th place, 5th place, whatever. And I think as long as they're in the hunt, so to speak, I don't see Murray going. So, if that's not going to happen, then I think the Ducks do need to make a trade and do something. Or, and we'll get to in a little bit, bring up some players. Obviously, Zegras, right? Everyone keeps talking about Zegras. So that's another thing. But what do you think about this poll, Eddie, and how do you fix a team? The Ducks do well defensively, but they're not doing well offensively. What do you think? Obviously a lot of people think it's the GM. Like we've said, I don't think that happens. But what do? You make a trade, you bring up Zegras. What's your thoughts?
I say blow it all up. I hate changing things, and I'm a creature of habit, but at this point I'm saying blow it up. And I'm saying that not just trade everybody, let's get rid of everybody, fire the coach. No, I'm saying start with the highest thing that seems to be an issue each year is a GM. We need a new GM, and I know a lot of you agree. I see some of you guys write me. I see your comments on social media. I think it's time for Murray to be gone. Bring another GM and let him kind of mold the team and the culture that he wants. If he wants a new coach, bring in a new coach. If he wants to trade certain core players because he wants to bring in other core players, let him do those trades. Let him build a team that he wants, because obviously the team that Murray has isn't working and hasn't been working. And I don't see it working in the future. That's why I'm with blow it up. Do I think that we need a new coach and he's the problem? Absolutely not. Do I think that some of these core players need to be traded and they're the absolute problem? Absolutely not. But if it's going to take for the Anaheim Ducks to be winners again and to be contenders and to win the Stanley Cup, then I'm all for it. I don't care. Even trade Delorier, it sucks. I love him. He's my favorite player on the Ducks, but I don't care what it has to take. Like that team, that logo on the front is more important than the player on the back. Bringing a championship back to Anaheim is the most important thing, and that should be the thing on everyone's mind is win, win, win. Not this win now mentality. These little these political words, or you want to be a politician, or you want to be a fifth grader promising more recess when you're elected school president. I don't care. I'm tired of hearing the same shit from Murray all the time, the same fluffy words and feel good words. No, it's not working. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear the blanket statements. I don't want to hear we didn't get enough pucks on net or blah blah blah. We heard it. Save your little template for someone else. I think it's time for him to go and let this new GM that we bring in build his own team and build his own culture and get us winning again. And I'm sorry I'm going off, but I'm getting frustrated and tired of Murray. Thank you for everything you've done for the Ducks in the past. It's time to go. And seriously, stop with the blanket statements. Stop with the templates. We've heard them all. I bet you every fan on every social media platform can quote you and pretty much know what you're going to say next.
Amen. I mean, that's all I can really say. I mean, I didn't expect that from you either, but you're not wrong. I mean, and there's a lot of people out there that feel that way and that are not happy and think that there needs to be a change. And, we had Don Quixote 89 asked about Dallas Aikens. Is he the correct coach for our players? And you said yes, and I agree. I don't think it's the coach. Just like most of you that voted in the poll, that was the lowest one. 8% of you thought that. The most of you thought new GM, or all the above, basically. I know that kind of involves the coach, but more so trade and blow it up kind of a thing is what we were looking at. And that's where I'm at too. I think that's what you're going to have to do to get this team going in the right direction. They've tried to make trades, right? We've seen that before, and we ended up doing the Shattenkirk one this last time, and then the one that didn't go through was the Dubois trade, right? We mentioned it on the last show if you didn't catch it. We won't go into full discussion there, but they tried that. The Ducks were one of the finalists in that, one of the last three teams, actually. It did not work out. And now the Ducks are connected to another player to try and trade and fix, which, I mean, this is a whole thing that we're going to take some time on this. And we'll also talk about Zegras too. That's the other big one for me, is bringing him up. I said that on the last show. Eddie said that too. We'll go into what's happened so far in the couple games of the goals. But as far as the trade part, you have DeAngelo now. This is the latest one that the Ducks have been connected to. They said that 4 or 5 teams had looked into him. According to Bob McKenzie, the Ducks were one of them. Now, the current situation is he didn't get traded at the time of us recording the show. He actually got sent down on waivers, got unclaimed. And basically from what McKenzie's saying is plan B is if they don't trade him, then they would try to buy him out at the end of the year. The issue that the Rangers are having is they don't want to retain a large amount of his salary, and they don't want to take on some kind of other contract either. So they're kind of in a bind here is what's going on. And so, there's a lot that could be said about this guy. We try to stay out of world events and politics and stuff like that. He's decided to go to social media and kind of engage in some of those things. That's irritated some people. There's also been some fake news stories out there about him, which they came out and dismissed, which that caused more problems. But it's unfortunate. This guy had 15 goals and 38 assists last year in 68 games. Played great. You could get another guy like that and add some more offense, especially the way this team's been going. But of course, the problem is all the drama surrounding him, Eddie. It's just frustrating. I would like the Ducks to get somebody like this, right, or a Dubois player like we talked about, but you just can't have this off-ice drama. There's too much of it, unfortunately. So yeah, they said that the Ducks did, I think, quote unquote, their due diligence looking into him. But it's the good thing is the Ducks are still out there looking to do trades. That's the positive part of this. But this is one that definitely kicked the tires. And I say the Ducks keep looking, Eddie. We don't want any drama. That's the good thing about this team. We don't have that off-ice drama that some teams have. And if the Ducks aren't going to be a contender, that's fine. We'll see how the season plays out. But I don't want to add drama just to try to make ourselves a solid playoff team.
No, definitely. I think we can pride ourselves in Anaheim where we don't have those off-ice issues where players are doing stupid things, or we have to have some PR person come in and do a statement to kind of do some I guess, PR damage report. It just seems like this guy just can't get over himself. He's had issues in juniors. He's had issues in Tampa, issues in Arizona, now issues in New York. And it's not just this season. He had issues last season in New York too. This guy something's wrong with this guy. I don't know if he's dealing with a lot of mental health issues or what is going on with this guy, but he just can't pull it together. He has a loaded gun. He's shooting himself in the foot. That's all he's doing. These teams don't want that kind of drama and that kind of heat. And I hope the Ducks don't go for him. Yeah, I see his stats. He seems like he could put the puck in the net and create scoring opportunities, but it's not worth the headache, the PR nightmare, of bringing that negativity back to the Ducks. Because what's he gonna tweet out? What's he gonna do? What kind of altercation is he going to get with the teammate? Him and Georgiev already got into a physical altercation. So we don't need that. We have a young group of Ducks, and we don't need someone toxic like that to kind of influence them or to bring them down even more. It's too many issues with him. I don't know. A team's going to have to sit down with him and really lay it down and kind of censor him. I think he deserves it. I'm not one to censor anyone, but dude, shut the hell up. Like, I get it. You want to voice your opinion, and yeah, that's good. But right now in your profession, that's not the right thing. And honestly, too, I don't care if I agree with him or I disagree with them, or I agree with someone, or I don't disagree with someone. I just don't want to hear your political stuff or what you have to say about a life that you got that you don't live. You don't live my life, and you're gonna sit there and tell other people how to do it and what's right and what's wrong. You're paid to play professional hockey, so shut the hell up and play hockey. I mean, that's my thing of it. Same with celebrities when they go out and start doing their causes and stuff. Dude, just shut the hell up and act. You get your award. You guys live a lifestyle that I can't even dream about living, and you're over here telling us, your positions on things. It gets annoying. This dude, I think he could have been a great player. He had some defensive issues, but he just seems that he just is too full of himself. And then after he got scratched too, he just couldn't get over that, and it just trickled down from there. I think one of the reasons why teams didn't claim him on waivers is because the cap, the little flat cap, excuse me. But I think a part of it too is just him. Like, you just don't know what to expect from him. It's like, do you have to hire a different or another PR team if you have a player like this, just not knowing what he's going to do or what's he going to say next? I believe in second chances too, and I hope that he figures his stuff out and he starts to grow and mature and be a good NHL player for another team. I just don't want him with the Ducks. I don't think the Ducks need that kind of issue. I don't need that kind of headache for them. So I hope that they go and start exploring other trades, just not this one.
Yeah, that was the only thing that kind of surprised me, was when they said that the Ducks were looking at him. I'm like, wait a sec, why? I mean, that's what we're happy about, is that the Ducks have been trying to do trades and improve this team, as we said with the Dubois trade rumors and all that, and that finally went through. And then this one came up, and that's where I was happy. I'm like, okay, the Ducks are still looking to trade and add offense and whatnot to this team, because, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's our biggest problem. But when I saw this, I was like, really, guys? I mean, come on, let's not go for some drama. So they'll be curious to see what happens to him. But it's one thing that I preach and we talk about on this show, and actually with all my staff too, is, I mean, if you have your political opinions and things like that, or world issues, and you want to go off on those things on social media, that's up to you. But as representing this company that we have, I don't do that. I don't partake in that, because I know that no matter what, there's different opinions on each side, and you're gonna isolate people on either side. So I don't care. This isn't a political show. That's why we don't do that. A couple times we've hinted at things here and there, and we just keep it at that. We just try to focus on sports, and that's what we do. And I think Eddie hits a good point there. When you're an athlete too, You're out there to play a game. Not saying that you can't go out there and voice your opinion on social media and do all this, but you got to realize once you go down a certain path, I mean, that's the path you're going to have to keep going down then. I mean, and it's just the way, especially the way of the world now, and not getting too involved in it. You just got to be very, very careful with the stuff that you put out there on social media, because I've seen other people in my situation do stuff, and I shake my head. So I'm hoping the best for him. I'm hoping it works out. I hope, like Eddie said, he gets a second chance, just not with the Ducks. I think if the Ducks don't end up doing some other kind of trade now, right? They keep looking. But the other option, and this is the option that, God, it's like this is a no-brainer to Eddie and I, is just bring Zegras up. Like, we want Zegras. That's like our slogan. We make a t-shirt. We want Zegras, right? We should start doing a chant. This guy has been off the chain. He's leading the goals right now. They've won their first 2 games. He's got 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists. If you count preseason, he's got 9 assists total, plus he's got that shootout goal as well. So, I mean, he's been doing awesome. Drysdale got a goal and assist in the second game, and it's time, man. I mean, the goals team's been doing great, and yeah, the whole thing about let him sit down there and develop and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I get that. Don't rush him. Murray talks about that, but you know what? Sometimes there's exceptions to the rule. And for me, Eddie, Zegras is an exception to the rule. I say bring him up. Let's see what the kid can do. And if he plays one game and does horrible, which he won't, then fine. But if I'm there, I'm like, dude, you've already seen how he's done these couple games. If you want to wait another couple games, maybe. But I think at some point this season, you got to give this kid a shot. I think he's an exception to the rule. I don't think you keep him in San Diego, or technically Irvine, right? Because that's what they're playing for the whole season. And that's my 2 cents. I say give him a shot, Eddie.
Yeah, I don't know if Murray doesn't want to waste the money on bringing him over. I know it's a long drive with the gas, the traffic. No, but yeah, he looked really good. I caught one of the goals games. He looked confident. He attempted to try that little that Michigan move. I know some people were saying no, he didn't. It was a fake. No, he went for it. He saw a pass, and those three defensemen were sitting there just watching him. But he just has that swag right now and that confidence. It's borderline cockiness, but I kind of like that. I don't know why I like it. He knows he's a badass player, and he kind of proved it in his first pro game. He looked like he belonged there. If not, and part of it looked like he didn't belong there. Like he was just a little bit too good. I like to see how it folds out throughout the season. I think I'm gonna buy into the AHL TV so I can watch more of the goals games too, because I don't really catch a lot of them. So I'm gonna try to watch some of those and watch these young guys develop, so I can kind of get a better feel on like what kind of players they're developing into. But I'm with it. Bring him up. Let's see what he can do. I don't want him up permanently. That's just my thing. I think San Diego right now, that's his team. Like, yeah, he's still the rookie, and obviously he's not the captain or anything, but he's going to be like heavily relied on in big time situations, on the power play, on situations where they're going to be down and need goals, or they're going to need someone to go in there and create a chance for them to win. I think he's going to be really leaned on for that, and they can kind of build that team around him and focus on him, and he can get used to the kind of playing in that professional environment. So when he comes up to the Ducks, hopefully his development will let him transition to the superstar, and they can build a team off of, and he can create that and bring that success that he had in San Diego to the Ducks. I do want to see him, like I said, maybe 10 games in with the Ducks. So let's see him this season. I don't want him staying any longer. I know one of our writers, George, he mentioned something about he just threw it out there about maybe there's some coaching issues with like coaching the coaches on the Ducks with themselves. Or I don't know. Something's going on with Anaheim, and I wouldn't want him being in that toxic environment and kind of learning bad habits from some of the guys that you see the bad habits coming from and thinking that's an okay way to play. No, I don't want that at all. But I do want to see what he can do up with the Ducks and up in the NHL, playing against the best in the world. Look at the Senators' Tim Strutzel. He looks great. He has a hell of a shot. He's doing well over there. So, why not bring him up? Let's bring him up sooner than later. Let him get his feet wet. Let him learn, and then let him go back down and tear it up in San Diego. Then when he's developed and ready, bring him up full time, especially when the Ducks are going to be in a better position and I guess have a better future and be closer to being contenders again and not just kind of stuck in this little middle portion where we're just writing or saying template things after the games when you lose them.
Another thing to consider too with this, Eddie, is some people talk about Zegras and they say he's like the future Getzloff, right? That they believe he'll be the team captain, and do all these things for Anaheim in the future down the road. So another thing to think about is, okay, if the Ducks aren't trading Getzloff and maybe he doesn't come back or he does, we don't know the full plan yet, right? He could retire. Maybe they bring him back at a 1 or 2 year short deal or whatever. Another concern is maybe you bring Zegras up, let Getzloff mentor him for a couple of games. At least get him that experience, especially if Getzloff is gone at the end of the season. I'm not saying he will be, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen. But, a strange thing happens. If he does decide to retire or he gets traded or something, I don't know. Maybe it would be good for him to go up there. Just get a little bit of the experience, like you said, and send him back down for the long haul. And I think that's, another similar thing. We had a question from on Instagram from Runes04 and Mainland Chuck. Adam T10, a whole bunch of people. Everyone's asking about Zegras on Instagram in Drysdale and when are they getting called up and is it now or in the future? I think of the two, Zegras would be one where you could come up and get him mentored and do that. I think in terms of the Ducks blue line, I think that's a little bit trickier situation because right now, yes, Manson's out, but you have Hutton and Hakapa who are doing pretty well. Larson, who's been kind of so-so, has been doing okay. And like we said, the Ducks are doing fine defensively. 5-on-5 and shorthanded and whatnot. Like we said, Shattenkirk's kind of taking some dumb penalties. But overall, the blue line's been pretty solid. So that's why I think Drysdale would be something that they might hold back on a little bit more. But with Zegras, you can bring him up and have him be mentored, especially when you don't know necessarily what Getzloff's future is next season, unless there's something that obviously we don't know yet.
Yeah, you know what too with Zegras, I think part of it, because I was thinking about this too the other day, I wouldn't want him to play the full season because the chances of him winning the Calder Cup this season is not really going to lean in his favor, especially being a lot of games out already. Let him play, some of the games this season. Bring him up full time if he's ready next season, and I think he has a shot at winning the Calder Cup or Calder Trophy, not Calder Cup. Sorry, maybe the Calder Trophy, but he has a chance of winning the Calder Cup next season. And I think that'd be pretty cool for him to add that to his resume, and that'd be cool for the Ducks to have a Calder Trophy, I guess, rookie on their team. I don't know. It's a weird situation right now, and we're gonna have to just wait and see. I definitely want to see him. I'm anxious to see him, but I don't want him rushed.
And I think that's where we're at. I think that's unfortunately why a lot of people are upset because that's pretty much what the GM is. That's been Murray's MO when you listen to him talk. Fortunately, I'm part of that group, the Orange Alliance, so I get to see him. He's been doing some Zoom talks now too, so I get to watch and see what he says. And I write those articles for you guys, so you guys get some insight into what he's talking about, and that's definitely a concern for him. So I think that's where we're at. Another option too, we had B. Brody. He also asked, what about Chase DeLeo? He's done well too. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists, and bringing him up to play. And I think it's a great idea, but you and I talked about this. The issue with him is waivers and going back down and him getting picked up. So that's why I don't think he'll come up, Eddie.
No, you know what? Watching him play the other day too, he looked so excited to be playing hockey. Just him scoring, just the emotion he had. He just looks really happy and super excited to be playing. I love that. I love seeing that passion. You can see that fire and passion just coming out of him. He's gonna have a great season in San Diego. I don't think he's gonna get called up just for that reason, because I think if he tries to get sent back down, he might get claimed, and I don't think the Ducks want to lose him in their system. So I love seeing his passion and how excited he looked to play. That was really positive for me. It was really good to see. So
yeah, I agree, and I think that's why they're going to hold on him. And we'll kind of wrap into more fan questions here. It's kind of our third segment. A lot of questions about all these young players and bringing people up and whatnot. Alex Rodriguez, we're talking about Zegras, Drysdale, DeLeo, and all that. He says, do you think the development of the young guys is at the right pace? It seems like it's going a lot slower than I want it to, which I think that's what a lot of fans feel like. He says that they're improving each season, which is good. He also mentions Comtois, who you and I have talked about being a great player in the future, and he had a couple more goals here this last couple games against San Jose. So now he leads the team with 5 goals, which is an example of someone that we talked about bringing up fast, and we like what we're seeing. So I think the development has been right for the most part, and it's tough. It's this balancing act, and I don't think it's necessarily easy. It's you want to bring a player up, you want him to do well and excel, and then like you said, you don't want to rush him. So I think like Comtois was great. It was the right move. Of course, he got hurt, which that was really unfortunate. But I love what I'm seeing with him. I think Zegras is in the same type position as him. And I think that, he could get in a handful of games this season and see what he can do, like we were talking about. And as far as the rest, I don't know if they'd push the rest. The only way, like I said, Drysdale, maybe if there's more injuries on the blue line. But I think they would want to have them get that long-term haul, like you said, in there. Go for the Calder down in San Diego and do as well as they can. But yes, I would like to see him come up a little bit. And I do think overall the development of the players has been fine. I don't think that's the issue necessarily with this team, as we've talked about, Eddie, with the GM and whatnot. I don't know that that's the issue. The issue is building a team that can contend offensively, which this team cannot. And this team's built solid on defense and goalie, but we got to get the forwards going. And I like what I'm seeing, but yes, I do want to see Zegras soon.
Yeah, you know what? With Zegras too, I think that just the kind of player he seems, I think when he gets called up, he's gonna do everything in his power not to be sent back down. Like he's gonna force the Ducks to keep him up. He's just gonna. I don't know. It's just. I guess I'm split. Like part of me wants him to stay down. Part of me wants him to attempt to get a Calder trophy for the best rookie next year. But then part of me wants to see what he can do and bring him up. And I don't know. It's going to be really exciting when they do decide to call him up, and we could see his first game and see what he can produce and do. Hopefully it's not on a Tuesday night. If not, I'm not going to go play hockey that night. I'm just going to see what's going to go on there. But it's going to be interesting to see. Comtois has been pretty good this season. The puck's finally going in the back of the net for him, and I like the physical element he brings to the game. A few of the guys I went to high school with, and I used to play hockey with. They play that pro beach hockey stuff with him, and they know him pretty well too. So I guess those roller hockey boys really helped his play this season. But yeah, I have no issue with development of the young guys, and I'm one of the people that would like to see younger guys kind of like just develop more and not just rush them, not do the Edmonton approach and just throw every rookie you have out. And then when they don't produce because their development's not going well, you blame it on them. But I don't know. With this season, we don't have anything to lose. Yeah, it's weird. Alex, your question, yeah, I agree that they're at the right pace. I think with some exceptions can be made, and hopefully we can see Z come up, and if he does well, don't just put him back down because we want to put him down. But if he really starts putting that puck in the net, gets some points or creates chances, it really proves that he belongs in AHL, then keep him up here regardless of how I feel that he should be down there and not in the environment that he is right now.
And one other thing that came up today too, I just want to make sure we mention it before we wrap up all this questions about the youth and everything, but Zegras was named the AHL Player of the Week, by the way, with his 2 goals, 3 assists, and 5 points in 2 games. So just another little thing there to add in there if you didn't catch that. So well deserved for him. And also, yeah, you mentioned Comtois too, Eddie. And we had another question on him on Shredden37 on Instagram. And he talks about, will he be a 20 to 25 goal scorer? And I think he could be. I think Comtois is a guy that can do that. He's got 5 goals already. I mean, he is on pace to do that. Granted, I mean, he's scoring, kind of in a couple games and not scoring. But I think he can become that player. And I think he's developed that, and that's what we're looking for, is consistency over the long haul, as you've talked about, along with Zegras and Drysdale and Comtois and these guys. We want them to be up there and be consistent for a long time. And you made a good point about Edmonton. You don't want to just like, oh, we got all these first-round picks. Yeah, we're going to throw them all in here, and let's rock and roll and see how they do. I think you do have to be careful. I don't think the Ducks should do that. It's just Zegras is the only one that I make the exception for, at least bringing him up to play some games, not the whole season. But that's where I'm at on that. And yes, I think Comtois can be a quality 20-goal scorer for several seasons.
Yeah, same here. This season, he looks good. He looks like he can hit the 20-goal mark. Maybe I'd say realistically, a 15-goal mark would be something that's doable. I don't know if you agree with that, Mike. I think 15 goals sounds fair for him.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's something he can strive for this season. I do like how quick he is to stick up for his teammates too. That's a quality I love, and that's a thing that should come second nature to the Ducks, to all Ducks, or all hockey players, not even the Ducks players. That's what still irritates me a little bit about Shattenkirk when Gibson had the issue and was ran into. He just didn't really drop the gloves. He just gave a little love taps, and I just don't. I can't respect a person that doesn't have your teammates back. I don't care if you're, like I said, I don't care if you're gonna get your ass kicked. If it's just you showing that showing your goaltender you can have his back. I think Comtois is a player that will have your back regardless of who it is. He can be someone the size of a Chara out there, and he'll be over there getting in, jumping and trying to get in his face if he ever took a run or hit one of the Ducks players. But yeah, I think the way his development has been going, I think a 20-25 goal scorer is something that he can be consistent of this season. Hopefully it's the 20 goal mark, but if he hits the 15 mark, then that's good enough for that. And I think the production for 15 goals will be good.
Yeah, I agree. And, you brought up a good point, too, about him, with his grit, too. We saw him mix it up in these San Jose games where he was going after, he gave a good check and then started to get into it, too. So that's what I like about Comtois. He brings all that. And you're right. Another thing, not to pile on Shattenkirk on this show, but I remember what you were talking about, that time when Gibson, got nudged, and then Shattenkirk was just kind of like, oh, I'll go up and I'll just kind of tap this guy like, hey, man, don't do it. It's like, really, dude? Like, that's why we like Manson so much, because he goes up there and doesn't take that from anybody. Even Lindholm will go in there too and mix it up if he has to. So that's one thing that's kind of bugged me too a little bit about Shattenkirk. He's not, I don't know, he just doesn't seem as motivated, like you said, Stanley Cup hangover or whatnot. But yes, I look forward to Comtois. Hopefully, if he doesn't get 20, that he gets 15. That would be a solid year for him this year, and then build off of it for next season. We've got time for one more fan question. This one's hilarious, kind of a late one that came in, Eddie. You and I were talking about this, kind of joked about what our answer would be, but we had LK Laos on Instagram ask, what does it take for the Ducks to become a mainstream reported team in the league? And this is probably the question that all of you at home or if you're driving or wherever you're at are going, yes, seriously, we get crapped on all the time for not being, one of these big mainstream teams. My biggest gripe has been basically the outdoor games, right? The Ducks had that one against the Kings in LA, and that's it. And we've seen the Kings and the Sharks have multiple, and the Ducks get left behind. Then, of course, primetime spots on TV, right? The Ducks aren't on there as much. We've talked about the All-Star game. We've gone back and forth on that. And I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe getting rid of Bettman? I mean, I don't know. A new person running the NHL? A different owners for the Ducks, I don't have any problem with the Samuels. I think they're doing a great job. I mean, I really don't have an answer. It's frustrating. The problem being in a smaller market, technically, I know Anaheim. You're like, what? It is a smaller market because it's not LA. If we didn't have the Kings, then that would help. So maybe we could tell the league to move the Kings to another state, and that would help, right? No, just kidding. We wouldn't have a rivalry, right? No, we still would have the rivalry, but we could boot them out, right? Because we don't want to leave. But I don't really see anything changing with that. I mean, it would have to be, other than winning more games, that would be it. Putting out a better quality product on the ice overall. I think if you do that, that would get more attention for this team. I mean, that's how it's been, right? Why do we always see the Penguins and Chicago and all these other teams when they had all those dominant teams? They're always winning. They're always in these prime spots. And I think that's part of it. That won't solve all of it. But unfortunately, the way that this team is situated in Southern California and LA just everybody knows LA. Yeah, Anaheim has Disneyland and whatnot, and a lot of people know Anaheim, but it's just geographically and market-wise, it's just not LA. And I hate to say that, but it's just the way it is, Eddie, unfortunately.
Yeah, like we're gonna need a Connor McDavid kind of superstar to actually get in the radar of them and to be reported on more. It seems like the Ducks are kind of always in the back seat. No matter we had players like Getzloff playing lights out during his prime, and he wasn't getting that much attention. It wasn't the spotlight on them. Either that, or you really have to play dirty and start a big old rivalry with one of the better teams that get those national spots a lot, like Colorado or St. Louis or when Chicago, once all this goes back to normal, just start freaking having a big rivalry with Chicago, and where it's like every game you play, it's going to be just a bloodbath, and you definitely know Chicago's going to have at least 20 or 30 more outdoor games in the next 2 seasons, so maybe we can just squeeze in there if there's a rivalry. But yeah, it's a smaller market, and we don't really have that kind of that game changer Connor McDavid kind of player where the spotlight's going to always be on. So I don't mind it though. We have a good fan base. There's a lot of really dedicated and hardcore fans that love this team. They're going to be here and watch this team day in and day out, even when the team's not doing well. And I think another thing that needs to be addressed too, and I know it's the third time you're mentioning it, but to make the games available for fans to watch, because you losing some of your fan base isn't going to help you trying to get more mainstream. The less fans you have, that's not good marketing at all.
Yeah, that's been a sore spot. We talked about that in the last show, and a lot of people have hit me up about that. And you're right, not having the availability to watch the games as freely as it should be, it's definitely not helping the situation for sure. So I agree with you on that. Last little part on this, we had one fan want to shout out GSM_22. So thank you for supporting us. You want a shout out? Here you go. And we'll kind of wind up the show now with the league news. A little bit of news outside the league, Eddie, kind of sad, but I know you mentioned this in here, but the National Women's Hockey League, it looks like it's at least put on halt for now, huh?
Yeah, so just the Connecticut Whale, they have just abruptly forfeited a match and they withdrew from the tournament. So there was the 4 teams left that were going to go and compete for the Isabel Cup, but then the league shortly announced that they were going to suspend play indefinitely due to COVID-19. That's just unfortunate. They were on a platform to be recognized for their play and to get more viewers, and then this happens. I wish they would have done more things to ensure that they wouldn't have any outbreaks or anything COVID-19 related that's going to suspend their season, but unfortunately they didn't. So their season's kind of be on hold, and who knows what's going to happen with them. I wish them all the best, and hopefully they can get back and finish pretty much what they started on that.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I hope that they can try and work that out and move forward after this year basically. The other part, getting back with our regular league news with the NHL, I thought this was interesting, Eddie. What did you think about this draft stuff that Darren Dreger was talking about? It's kind of interesting. What's your take on trying to push it back? Talking about basically just like how their season got kind of halted. Now they're talking about halting the draft and delaying it. I kind of don't like it. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't really see a point in just having 2 back-to-back drafts for it. Just I don't know. This is a weird season. I don't like this one bit. It just doesn't seem like it's gonna work. It's weird. I don't know why they keep wanting to change. Yeah, I know the COVID thing that they're changing a lot, but I just don't see a reasoning for this. Yeah, I get it. A lot of the junior teams aren't playing, and a lot of leagues aren't playing, but just to push it back, it doesn't seem like it's gonna work, and I don't really see a point in it.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it would be, I don't know, just be a whole big headache in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know, kind of interesting that discussion came up. I mean, I get it, like you said, with the minor league stuff, but still. But we got a couple other teams you want to talk about to round up the show, Eddie. Dallas, Detroit, and Washington.
Yeah, so Dallas, Khudobin was a healthy scratch due to internal issues. Their head coach stated that he has very few rules, but you damn well better follow them, in his quote. I don't know what he did. It's been speculated that he was showing up late, or he showed up really late to practice, but that hasn't really been confirmed by a credible source. It's just speculation that's going on. But it's just one of those coaches too that's sending a message that's you're pretty much that's your number one goalie right now since Ben Bishop is out, and he screwed up. He broke one of the rules and he has to pay the consequences. I think it's just that's showing something good from the coach that he's not gonna accept any breaking of the rules from any player, and if he has to bench his starting goalie for that and healthy scratching, then so be it. So I respect that a lot. As far as the Detroit Red Wings, on February 4th, a tweet came out that they haven't won a game with another in 464 days with another goalie not named Jonathan Bernier. That was really horrible to read and hear from the Red Wings perspective. They finally won a game with Thomas Greiss. They won yesterday 4-1, but 464 consecutive days without another goalie winning a game for your team. Suddenly, the Ducks don't sound too bad.
That is true. Like we said last year, at least we weren't Detroit.
Yeah, and lastly, too, something funny and positive to end with league news. The Washington Capitals. So this guy named Ariel Ben Abraham, apparently he put a tweet out with the pictures of hockey sticks. He received a package that was supposed to be going to the Washington Capitals. It was $5,000 worth of Zdeno Chara sticks. I don't know how he got them. FedEx screwed up and delivered them there. So he posted a picture and tagged Washington Capitals like, hey, I got your sticks. He's a basketball fan, so he didn't really know the significance of those sticks or who they belong to. They arranged to have the sticks returned. What he did, too, which was really smart in a marketing thing, he capitalized on all this publicity he was getting, the free publicity he was getting, and he created a hockey shirt for his brand and his business. True Hockey reached out to him. They made some purchases of his shirt, too. So I think that was a pretty funny story, and glad that he received them. I mean, that's the right thing to do. I would have done the same thing. Minus kept probably one or two of the sticks though, and said I lost them.
Yeah, I would have been like, yeah, here's all the sticks, right? And then you have a couple that you put on eBay or something, right? No, just kidding. Yeah, no, he did the right thing. But that is funny that things like that can happen, and then it turns out to be a good story. So something positive at the end there for sure. And we'll keep doing our shows. Got little announcements right here like we talk about always, but we'll probably do them maybe every week. Kind of depends on the schedule. Maybe every week and a half. We're trying to at least have enough of the games in between when we do the shows. But we'll keep rocking and rolling. If you noticed, we had Ronald Ray was doing a lot of designs, a lot of wallpapers and different things that we've been posting on Facebook. And, man, I'm glad the stuff that he's doing, Eddie. It's phenomenal work for us.
Yeah, he's a hell of a designer. Like his creativity, it's just probably one of the best I've seen ever. He just has that touch on it, and everything he touches seems to turn to gold. I had a friend that passed away recently. He was a goalie I played with, and one of my buddies he passed away, and Ronald went and pretty much did this whole design for him, and it's a way of tribute. I didn't ask him; he just did it out of the kindness of his heart. He's just a really good person. He's doing he designed some DucksNPucks logos for us too. We're going to be introducing a new DucksNPucks logo for our away games, so we can just give you something different for the people that love our traditional logo. It's still going to be here for all the whole home games, and that's going to be our primary logo. But for all the away games, we're going to introduce you a new away logo. So people that do like change and like new things, you're going to get that too. And hopefully we can get some more work done from Ronald, and he can showcase some of his talents. And if you guys ever want to reach out to him for design work, let us know. We'll put you in touch with them. And definitely, his work speaks for itself.
Yeah, he does great stuff. So, check it out for sure. And like Eddie said, if you ever need anything design-wise, we can have him help you out. And yeah, we're going to have another little logo that we're going to use. I don't know if it'll replace the current one or be like a third Duck logo. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But we're messing around doing different things, changed up a little bit. So I'm pretty excited about that. And we'll still be doing our giveaways, different things as well throughout the season. So look for those. We'll have different things coming up. You can sign up on our patreon.com/DucksNPucks website. We do stuff on there as well. And we have a couple of different store websites. We have tpnhockey.com. And then we also are at On the Volley Apparel. You can go there and search Ducks and Pucks, find our stuff there. You can also go to bit.ly/DNP gear to find just the Ducks and Pucks themed shirts and hats and whatnot. So check that stuff out too. So with that, we'll wrap up the show. We'll be back, like we said, in maybe a week and a half. And as always, let's go Ducks.